Hi everybody, welcome to our webinar for NTU Sport in partnership with Nottingham Trent University. I would like to introduce our guests, our special guests, the two Richards. We have Richard Lee, who is in charge of general inquiries, and we have Richard Easton, who is our specialist, who will be presenting. We kindly thank everyone's attendance for this webinar, and we would like to leave it over to NTU to take us away with their webinar. Thank you very much, everyone, and good luck, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hi, everybody. Thank you, firstly, from myself and from Richie for taking the time out to come and attend this today and listen to what we're going to present to you guys. So my name is Richard Easton. My role at Nottingham Trent University is within the sports department, specifically the sports scholarship programme. But what I'm going to present to you today is a bit of an overview of our entire sports programme, all the different things that are on offer to you as potential students coming into the university when it relates to sport, physical activity, that kind of thing. And then also a little bit of that will be kind of high performance end, which is a bit more of the kind of niche stuff that we do. It gives you an overview of that too for anybody that is perhaps a high performance athlete or interested in kind of more of the representing the university type stuff, which we do. Any questions you've got, we'll pick those up at the end. And if you've got any questions which are more generic about kind of applying for the university, kind of courses, accommodation, that kind of thing, then my colleague Richie, who's really the expert in that side of things, will be here as well to answer those too. So I'll be around 15-20 minutes or so of my presentation, and then we'll go into question and answer for you as well. First thing from me is that this is our strapline in NTU Sport: Inspire, Potential, Deliver Excellence. And it has different meanings to different parts of our department and different teams. But equally, what it really means is that whoever comes into us, whatever position they're in, whatever kind of sport they want to play, whether it's beginners, whether it's somebody who wants to develop, somebody who's really high flying and looking to attend, World Games, Olympic Games, those kind of things. Our role, really, I see our role is trying to get that potential out from that person, helping them to see it, to find it, whether it's they want to go coaching, refereeing, playing, you want to volunteer in the program, whatever it is, and at the other end of it, that we make sure we give to you as students the very best thing we can, the very best opportunities we can, and that's the delivering excellence piece. Regardless, like I say, regardless of where you come into our program. So we take that really seriously internally. We talk about it a lot, about how we deliver to you guys, and hopefully it's something that I think we do really well, making sure that all students get a really good experience with us. In terms of our in terms of our facilities, we have a massive array of facilities across both the Clifton City and our Brackenhurst campuses. This is the tennis centre at Clifton, and it's a forecourt covered, all nicely colour branded, blue and pink, and forecourt centre at Clifton, which is our major site for sport. We have most of our pitches, our high performance centre, our gyms, our physiotherapy suites, those kind of things, our sports halls, our dance studios are all at Clifton. And then we also have a little bit more provision at City as well, for those people who are kind of studying in that area and don't necessarily want to travel back and forth every day. Okay, across the Clifton campus, there are 65 station fitness suite, which is a really big area that you can see in the image there, a little bit of it. We've had it recently in the last couple of years, refurbished, and new equipment, that kind of thing, along with our high performance centre for the very high level athletes. And I forgot to mention, actually, we do have our own standalone squash courts at the university, which is a real bonus. A lot of universities don't have access to their own squash courts. And then at City, again, there's another image from our City gym. So again, it's all branded the same way, but actually the City gym is slightly larger than our Clifton facility. And again, it's all kind of renovated in the last couple of years, completely brand new. So it's a really nice, clean environment for people to come along and enjoy themselves, enjoy their activity, their fitness. One of the big standouts at City is our climbing wall. So in the Students' Union building, where you can see kind of around the sides there, some of our cafeterias, sort of coffee shop facilities and offices. We also have this sort of 3-story high climbing wall, which is a really fantastic thing people are using all day, and you can sort of sit and have a cup of coffee and watch people have a go, and also wait for your group and then come down and have a go yourself on it with the instructors and the clubs and things. So Again, a really, really nice, cool thing we have within our Students' Union facility. We do also have a sports therapy suite at City Campus that's attended a couple of times a week by our physio team. Again, for those people who book in or who are performance athletes who might need that kind of provision at City in amongst their lecture times and things. So we try to be as flexible with our students as possible. And again, we mimic a similar things to Clifton on a slightly smaller scale, just because city centres are quite hard to get permission to build large facilities within. We do have a sports hall, and we do have dance and fitness studio facilities there as well. In terms of our gym facilities across the board, if you get a membership with us, you have access to all of those facilities. There's no kind of only one site or only one thing. It's everything included. All of our pitches, all of our studios, halls, gyms, all those kind of things. And those can be really flexible for international students, because if you're coming back and forth a little bit semesters, or you're pausing your studies or whatever you're doing, or going home for a period of time, it is possible to pause those payments so you're not kind of paying when you're not able to access and you're away. But I would say it's a really fantastic thing when you are available, are in the area, because it's a lot cheaper than anything else you'll find around the areas for a massive amount of facility use and a massive amount of classes as well that we run, with a whole wide range program, which I'll go through the breadth of the program at Nottingham Trent in just a moment. As a department, we have around 1 in 3 students engaged with us across all of our programs, and that does include everybody from volunteers who are just kind of helping and trying to further their experience, through to people who might be officiating in sport or coaching sport, coaching their peers, students who are just what we're doing called Play for Fun, which is a program where you just turn up and have a go at things, and doing kind of fun sport, beginner sport, right through to the club stuff, the intramural programs, and then all the way through to the high performance programs where we have our sports scholars and some TAS athletes, which is a government funded program. So there really is a massive range of students involved with us. They come from all across the university. You don't have to study any particular course or any particular department to be involved with us. Anybody can get involved for anything they really want to do. And like I say, 1 in 3 students for us means around about 10 to 12,000 students a year are involved with us at Trent, Nottingham Trent Sports. So it's a really big program. Like I said, I'll go through the program in sort of layers. At the bottom of the program, in terms of somebody maybe not involved in sport as an active participant, but involved in the local community, within national events, within opportunities in local schools, or furthering their experience, we have our sports volunteering. And that's a huge program run by my colleague Stacey Traynor in partnership with one of our other teams in the university who look after kind of community engagement. And they do everything from kind of school groups to, there's been clubs that have gone out and fed the homeless. There's been clubs that have gone out and painted school areas to give back to the local community, as well as, like I say, the officiating and the volunteer coaches and those kind of things, which really are they're the bread and butter of what we do. They're the bones of how we run these clubs, because they are the people that give their time to their peers and to us at NTU Sport to make these things run, and they're really, really valuable people. In terms of sports club, we've got 60 sports clubs in all, and that usually goes up every year a little bit. They're all run by the students. They're backed by us at Nottingham Trent in the sports department, so we provide funding to those clubs to operate. The range of clubs is huge, so you can see some of them on the screen there, but I mean, it's wider than that still, but the range is as big as, you know, like we say, we've got dance, we've got boxing, we've got your more traditional sports you might expect, things like football, things like rugby union in this country, very, very big sport, tennis, and then some of the sports you might not have come into contact before with from Cyprus, things like bowling. We still do things like that. We have another program called BRAC Sports. So if anybody's considering studying in your course, would be at Brackenhurst campus, which is a little further up in the city. There are clubs which operate out of that facility, and there are sports pitches there too. So it's not as though you have to travel all the way back in to be involved in some kind of sporting activity. You can do so over at Brackenhurst, which is a really nice thing we've added in there as well. But there are sports in here like, say, belly dance and pole dance, which are about the social side and the groups and getting together and learning a skill and putting on charitable performances, which they do every year to great numbers, and do some really great things for local charities and sort of raising money. And then we have some of our very high performance sports, which would be like hockey and rugby and football, which might compete on a national level and have athletes which are actually professionals within their program too. But then we also have our clubs which compete at Bucks, which are on that screen as well. In terms of our beginner sport and those returning to sport for the first time, or maybe people just coming to, like you guys might be coming to another country and trying something for the first time, Our Play for Fun program is designed to allow people to come in and try something maybe they've never done before, or just very gently get back into something with no obligation, no need to kind of join the club at that point. If you're a member of the gym or the NTU sport program, then it's free. You can just turn up to whatever you want to do, wherever you see it on the program. You can make it either at Clifton City or Brackenhurst. But if you're not, it's only £2 a go. And again, it's a really great way of meeting new people. And it's often something that's very popular with our international students, because it's, again, a chance to come and try something, a sport that maybe wasn't as big in their home countries, but is a really great opportunity to try and see something new in the UK. Just above that, we then have our internal leagues. We call these intramural sport. We may be rebranding that in the future, but that essentially means lots of sporting competitions and leagues that happen within the university walls. So we don't play external teams and we don't play the universities. We play teams that have the students have themselves created from friendship groups, from courses, from accommodations, wherever they are. And these at the moment are being expanded. So we have a new program of intramural sport coming out for the new year in September. So watch the space for that, because there's going to be some really exciting new sports included in there. Hopefully things like badminton and basketball, volleyball might be on the list for those. And in terms of the existing ones, we have football, futsal, various variations of that. We have some rugby union, which is in partnership with some of the local universities that we work with as well. And a really, really big netball program for anybody who's not aware of netball. Really, really great sport to get involved in. It's something that's growing, and we've just grown. We're one of the first universities in the country to include a men's netball program within our sporting offer. And then kind of at the top of the tree in terms of competition, we have what's called British University and College of Sport. We call it BUCS. And this is the really competitive offer. And actually, there's a huge range of levels that people compete at when it comes to BUCS. Some of those are very local universities because of the league they're playing in, and there's a lot of fun being had, but you're still competing for the university, wearing the pink, as you can see on the screen there, from our lacrosse team. And playing other universities at their home grounds and at our home grounds, right through to the very top end of BUCS, where, as you can see on the screen there, that was actually the final of the BUCS Championship, where we were the national champions that year, beating Durham in lacrosse. So there's a real range of what's available to somebody depending on what they want to commit to, but also the level they're competing at and what's appropriate for them to do. In terms of the very top of the pyramid, we also have our sports partnerships and a few national league sides. So on the screen there is an example of our rugby union partnership, and actually every single one of the players you can see on the screen there has since gone on to play professional rugby in one of our leagues in this country, whether it be the Premiership with a young man called Tim Cardell, second from the left there, and David Williams, third from the right, both playing the Premiership for London Wasps and Leicester Tigers respectively. And then other players in that photo there playing in what's called the Championship for Nottingham, which are our partners, but also for other National League sides in National 1 and the Championship as well. Outside of the rugby partnerships, we also have partnerships for hockey with Beeston Hockey Club, football for Lincoln, which play in a very high league now, a very progressive club, kind of pushing our partnership with them, as well as some national governing bodies for things like canoe and rowing, where the very, very best athletes in the country will be involved in some of those programs. So the kind of top of our pyramid is really working at the top of UK sports pyramid, and helping these athletes to push on and become the best they can. And certainly if anybody on the call is somebody of that caliber where you're competing on a world stage, then please get in touch, because it might be something where your sport is something we can look at supporting. Again, we can't make any guarantees, but it's something we can certainly look at. This is our sports scholarship group from a couple of years ago. Sadly, the last time we were able to get together as a group like this, actually, and you'll notice there's no social distancing, which was very, very nice. Everybody together in one place. And this is the program that I work day to day on. And there's again, to reiterate, there's a massive range of quality athletes in that group there, from 100-meter sprinters to the British long jump British champion, to rugby players who play internationally for Portugal and Spain, played for Gloucester. There's footballers in there who come from Arsenal Academy, Tottenham, Man United Academy. There's women's players who play football for Forest ladies, netball players playing professionally who've gone to the World Cup or gone to the Commonwealth Games and are on that pathway still. There's a huge, I'm sure I'm missing phenomenal people out in that picture. I can see their faces and I know there's some great things. So it's a really great program if somebody's at the right level. Support for that program, you get a whole range of facility access and things like that, as well as what you can see on the screen there, S&C, which is strength and conditioning, to make sure you're physically ready, physiotherapy to look after you if you do get a knock, psychology and nutrition as is appropriate, flexibility with studies, where again, in partnership with the academic departments, it is very much a hand-in-hand relationship on those occasions when we do have athletes at that level. And the potential for a reduction in academic fees for international students as well. So again, it's a very case-by-case basis, and I would say the level is very high, but if you are an athlete of a very high standard, competing on a world level, then it's always worth an application, is what I always say. These are just a few pictures of our scholars from the last few years, and again, there's England netballers in there, there's the BMX world champion for under 23s, there's the Commonwealth Games fencing champion in the centre middle there, top middle. There's GB hockey players, there's GB equestrian athletes. It really is a place of high level sports. So even if you're somebody that maybe is not interested or involved at high level, you are going to be around and rubbing shoulders with some very high level athletes, and they're not separate from the rest of the clubs, and they're not separate from the rest of the departments and that kind of thing. They're very much encouraged to be part of NTU sports community and the culture we have. And you might see them if you're around about, you might get to know them quite well if you're involved in the club. Actually, a lot of the clubs are very inclusive, and we have committees which are always looking for talented and enthusiastic people to be part of running the clubs, and certainly some of our scholars do that role as well, because they apply for it, and they're fortunate enough to be voted in by the rest of the club. But equally, there are people on there who they're not out there to play high level sport. They don't want to do that. They're not the level to do that, but they want to contribute back to the clubs. They do things through committee roles, and that's where a lot of the athletes will kind of rub shoulders a lot of the time at training sessions and committee meetings. We are a leading performance sports university from a performance program. Again, just some of the sort of trophies and things we've won in the last few years, it sort of demonstrates what we've done. And in terms of our books performance, sorry, I go too quick there. In terms of our books performance, we've gone up steadily year on year. Obviously, there's been a bit of things cancelled in the last couple of years, but before that happened, we hit top 10. So in terms of where we've been, we'd steadily increased over a 3 or 4 year period and pushed ourselves up to a top 10 sporting university, which we're very, very proud of. This is our high performance centre. So specific gym facility for anybody that's in a performance program, but equally is sometimes used by our sports science department for testing and those kind of things. So you might find if you're interested in sports sciences courses, you might end up working within this facility too. For anybody playing within our program, not necessarily just the high performance athletes, but in our performance programs, there is opportunity for our use of our in-house physiotherapy team. It's free to our high performance program athletes, not free to everybody, but there is a small cost. It's not as big as you would pay externally, certainly. And there are return to play protocols and concussion clinics, and there's match day support for high contact sports like rugby union, rugby league, football, lacrosse, those kind of things. So we do try to take as much care as we can of athletes. And then alongside this, our facilities team are all first aid trained, and we make sure that available on any match days, which is usually a Wednesday afternoon for us for Bucks, there are staff around who can be called on if need be. Again, our sports therapy clinic is available at Clifton, and if you, again, sports testing labs, so they're actually separate from our gym, but they are used alongside. If somebody on the call would be interested in something like that along with their studies, which they're doing sports science courses, then they would be using our facility quite a bit when they're studying with us. This is a little glimpse of our nutrition suite. We do have chartered experts in psych and nutrition, and the workshops we offer, one-to-one sessions available as well for some of the more performance clubs and groups. But equally, if you're in a club and your club wants to kind of help you to learn to cook a little better, to understand the nutrition behind that, then we're looking at a coaching academy program where there might be master students and PhD students who kind of drop in and help our clubs with those kind of things too. So we're trying to push on the knowledge in sport across the board, not just the high performance end. The last thing to mention in high performance would be kind of our performance lifestyle, academic flexibility. So we are a dual career accredited university, which basically means that we try to support athletes excuse me, who are excelling in both an academic and a sporting world at the same time. And that's what dual career essentially means, doing more than one thing at a high level at one time. And part of that is some of the support that someone like myself offers, which is individualized kind of lifestyle coaching and helping you to liaise with your academic teams to provide flexibility when and where appropriate, that kind of thing. There are additional benefits on there, as I've already kind of mentioned, and that's an outside view of our Clifton facility for you guys as well. Really nice welcoming building, fairly recently built. That's the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, so anybody who's a golf fan will recognise the name Lee Westwood. And I think sort of 7 or 8 years ago when we put the centre up, he came down and did the whole ribbon cutting ceremony. It was a really nice day for him to kind of dedicate his name to the facility. In terms of just very last thing really on these eligibility criteria, like I said, if you're competing at a very high level in your sport, then that's when to get in touch. And you can equally, if you're an individual athlete, you can go and check your results against those of previous BUCS results. And that's kind of the link there you can see on the screen to go to bucs.org.uk and just have a look at the sports on offer as well if you're just interested in the competition levels. And also you'll see NTU or Nottingham Trent as the teams listed through those leagues, and you can see kind of what our teams have been doing in the past, not last year so much, but in the past few years, and how we've been pushing on and performing. I'll move past those ones and on to kind of this one. If you're interested, there's the link again. Please take a screenshot if you want to, or give me a call or an email, and I can certainly be in contact in terms of high performance level. But from my point of view, NTU Sport is more than just a high performance university. We are a fun, engaging environment, and we are proud of what we do. This is a screen from a couple of years ago at what we call Varsity, which is an event we hold usually every single year. Really kind of competitive, but actually quite a lot of fun celebration of sport in the city between ourselves and the University of Nottingham across the river, where we play, a whole bunch of sports and different events across a sort of 2-week period around Easter time, which culminates usually in the basketball at the ice arena. We usually have sort of 10 to 20,000 students packed into that facility. We have usually men's, women's basketball kind of being played across an evening, and it's a really great celebration of sport, and it kind of rounds it off nicely for me. We are proud to be NTU. We're proud of what we do in NTU Sport, and we think we offer a really fantastic service as part of your experience when somebody comes to Nottingham Trent. Thank you very, very much for listening. I hope I haven't gone on far too long there. If you've got questions, please throw them out there. I will hand on now to my colleague Richie, who will be able to answer any questions or outline a little bit more about kind of the general NTU offer in terms of applying and anything you might need to know about. But thank you very much for listening today.
That's great. Thank you, Rich, for that. That was really interesting. Thank you for supporting with that and telling us about NTU Sport. So I don't know if there's any questions at all. Please feel free to unmute or type in the chat if you've got any questions, and myself and Rich will do our best to answer any questions. Very quiet. No questions at the moment, but please feel free to ask any questions at all. It can be about sport specifically, it can be about Nottingham as a city or a place to study and live, it can be about the university itself and courses. Please feel free to ask anything.
Yeah, I guess what people are thinking, the only thing I'd add would be linked to sport, but not necessarily, is that, from working with you, Richie, in the last kind of year or two and looking at the offers we have for international students and stuff, I think we've come to conclude a little bit that sport is a great way for people to get included in university life when they come to a brand new country. It's a way of accessing kind of other people and groups and friendships and sports and things that they might not have tried before. So again, don't be put off by the idea that you come to a new country and you might not be able to know all the sports on offer. It really is as easy as just kind of, if you miss things like our freshers fairs, you just turn up to reception and say, I'd love to get involved in sport, and it's as simple as that. Or equally, I know we have the global lounge, is that right, Richie? And they'll
that's right, yeah.
People.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Rich. I think in terms of like how you've covered the all of the different aspects of sport at NTU, it's not just the performance sport. It can be like you've just mentioned, a way of meeting new people. Even if you don't want to compete at a high level, we do a lot of play for fun, and it's just a really great way to meet new people as an international student. So I mean, we've got a really diverse range of students from around the world, so staff and students from over 150 countries. So yeah, it's a kind of a great place to meet new people and learn about different cultures as well.
It is, and we have some hotspots of sports that you guys in Cyprus will recognise. You recognise things like football, like most countries play football at high level. But we do have volleyball club, which I know is a big sport in Cyprus. On the continent, you got things like handball, goalball. We do all those things. Korfball's growing in importance, and we do that. We've just included a powerlifting and weightlifting club for the first time, which we're really proud of that, because it's something we should have done, I think, for a while, but we've included that now for the first time as well. So there might be things you recognise, racket sports, badminton, tennis, squash, those kind of things that you can come along and do what I've always done, as a kid and as an adult in your own clubs and universities. Even now, you can continue those. You haven't got to stop when you come to NTU. If anything, you can continue and push on a little bit.
I've got a question for you. If we have international students from Cyprus, would they be placed, is there like an international wing at the university that they stay at, or would you guys suggest that, is this a first year thing you put them with maybe other Cypriots, or is it a second year thing when then you'd say you can branch out and live where you like, or you sort of give them an option of either or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's a huge range of accommodation options. So there's NTU accommodation, there's private accommodation options, private halls of residence, apartments, houses. So there's lots of different options available. There isn't as such an international wing. I would say that we encourage students to, interact with people from different countries and also from the UK. So they will be mixed accommodation generally. But if they so request to be with someone from Cyprus, for example, then it's something that we can certainly look at accommodating. But there's nothing set up for that as such where they go into an international wing, for example. It's all about kind of getting used to the British culture as well, and getting to meet new people from around the world. But we will try and work to any requests that a student does have, if that makes them feel more comfortable about that transition to moving abroad. Obviously, it's a huge deal. And we want to support them with that as much as possible. We know they've probably got lots of different questions, maybe some concerns and worries, and we want to really help and support with that whole journey.
Brilliant.
I mean, what students will usually do in the first year, they may, like, for example, stay in NTU accommodation, and they might meet friends through their course or through sports, for example, and that they then decide to go and live in accommodation within their second year. So that's how a lot of students tend to go along their path in terms of where they live. But yeah, if you've got any questions, or if there's any specific questions relating to a student that's joining us, we'll be happy to look into that in more detail for you.
Oh, thank you.
No worries.
If there's not any more questions, obviously we have this webinar recorded, which we will be sending out to those who couldn't attend and those who didn't get managed to get the invite. But from Global Education and Global Sports Division, we'd like to thank you guys. Obviously, the Global Education side has been working with you guys for a long time, and we really value our partnership with you guys. But we would like to thank you on your forward thinkingness, because it is really not easy to combine studies with sports. And from your fantastic presentation, you've got a lot of talented athletes that manage to combine the both. So we look forward to working with you guys for the future, and positive vibes ahead. We're really looking forward to it. So we appreciate your help, guys. Thank you for your presentation. And thanks everyone for coming. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
On behalf of Global Educational Services, I would like to express our thanks to our speaker, Richard Easton, for presenting to us, and Richie Lee for organizing the webinar. Also, a big thank to everyone that joined us today. We hope you found the webinar useful. For any information or for applying into Nottingham Trent University, you can contact Global Educational Services at 22780 250. Have a lovely evening.